All right, Devin, thanks for joining us today. I'm with Nele from the navigatio.com. And do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hi everybody. Like Tom said, I'm Nele. I'm based in Manchester, and I write a travel blog about Europe and Japan. So
Nice. So we were catching up around 2 weeks ago, and I was doing a little bit of coaching with you, and you shared your story with me, and I was like, we have to, we have to do another call where we talk about your story because I think it's amazing. So
yeah.
thank you for thanks for jumping on this and sharing it, everyone. So first, I just wanted to get more of a little bit of a background about your blog and what you mainly write about and what you talk about.
Yeah, so it started off, back in university when I thought, oh, I should have something else than just my degree to show off.
Mhm.
It was like a lifestyle blog, and then it just kind of turned into a travel blog because I like travel. And that started to work. Like I was getting traffic from that. So I just kind of started niching down more and more and more. Um, until now we're kind of mainly writing about Japan because like I love Japan so much and that seemed to work. So if I get to write about something that I love to write about, that just made the most sense. So that's where
Nice,
we're at.
nice. I love how you've niched into Japan. Like we said, we both said this earlier. Like I love it too. So when I was reading your stuff, I was like, I want to go back to Japan.
Yeah.
It's making me miss
Same.
it.
Every time I'm writing about it, I'm like on the Skyscanner, like looking at flights again.
So tell us a little bit about your story, about how you first heard about blogging Fastlane, and then how you got started in it. How did that look?
So I quit my job to do blogging full time right before COVID. Um, thinking people aren't gonna stop traveling. This is a great time to just, go full in. I know I'm not really making money of it yet, but if I just, do the work for 6 months or something, I'll be at a point where I can pay the rent with it. I'll just live on my savings for a bit. And then obviously COVID hit and people did stop traveling and I lost all my income overnight. And, as a freelancer as well, like a lot of people let freelancers go. And then one of my friends in the blogging community, he did the course and he only had good things to say about it. And I trust him with it. He wouldn't sell me something if it didn't help him. And he was on Mediavine already. He was making a decent income from it, even during COVID because he was still getting the page views. So I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna just have to do it because I can't keep selling my stuff on eBay. I have nothing left.
So then from there, you joined our workshop, right? And checked out that.
Yeah. I signed up for the workshop. I did that, and I talked to my friend Alex a little bit more about it because I was really scared to spend that amount of money. Because especially since I didn't have a full-time job to fall back onto, or I could have applied for stuff I didn't want to. Um, and like it was during COVID, it was so stressful. Like I think a lot of people can relate to that if they were freelancers as well. Like that was not a good time, and you didn't know when it was going to end.
Mm.
Um, so like the course is an expensive course, but at the time it might as well have been $1 million for me. Like I didn't even know where I was going to get the money to pay for it, but it just felt like I had to do it.
Listen, that's crazy. And you said, I want you to tell what happened. So you watched the workshop, you purchased the course, and then what did you do?
Then I just kind of sat on my floor of my apartment for a good 30 minutes, staring into space, thinking, why on earth did I spend this money? Like, this is 2 months' rent, and I'm buying this course for my website that doesn't make me any money yet. Like, what am I doing? And like, this is not even a joke. Like, I literally sat down there like next to the wall for 30 minutes thinking, oh my God, now I'm gonna have to do it. Because now, like I knew I was gonna have to do it, but then you actually have to do the work. And what if it doesn't work out? What if I lose the motivation? Because that's also a big possibility, like it's a lot of work to make a successful business and then I'm not gonna get the money back. And then I didn't touch it for I think a good 2 to 3 days because I thought if I don't touch it, if I don't start it, I can't fail at it. And I can just like ask for my money back because of the 90-day money back guarantee. But I kind of got over that hurdle after 3 days of having a mental breakdown because I just thought, well, now I'm invested. I've spent this money. It's gone. I knew I could get it back, but I was just kind of trying to reframe it in my head as in like, okay, it's gone. I have to make it back now. Let's get to work. But those 3 days were they weren't pretty.
Yeah, I can imagine. We talked about it a little bit. Like when you make those type of investments, you do feel it in your stomach. Like it feels like butterflies, and all your like
Mm,
insecurities come out, and your fears come out, and you're like, oh my god. And like you said, what if I don't start? I can't fail. So then you're already thinking about like, oh my gosh, I can actually fail now. So all of this sort of bubbles up and comes out, and
yeah.
it's amazing that you did take some time, but you also like jumped in and then went full steam ahead into it. So let's talk a little bit about how that journey went from you after the mental breakdown, when you decided to actually go into the program and go through it. How did that look for you? What sort of been the timeline from that moment to where you are now? And how is the blog doing?
So when I bought the course, this was literally the start of COVID. I think we were like 2 months into lockdown, and I started to realize this isn't going to go away anytime soon. But this is the time where I have time to invest in other stuff, because I didn't have that many freelance jobs. Like I was saying, I was just selling some stuff on eBay kind of thing, trying to pay for rent. But I had a lot of time left over, and I was working on the blog, but I have a little bit of an SEO background, but it was mainly in e-commerce SEO, and that's completely different from doing a niche website or any kind of informative website affiliate stuff. So that's where the course came in really handy, because I thought I knew a lot about SEO, and then I did the course. I was like, oh, I don't know that much about SEO. Like, there's so much more to learn about it. So that was, I think, almost 3 years ago now that I bought the course, well, 2.5 years or something like that. And I just kind of started going through everything. But like you said, I kind of went full steam ahead with it. That's kind of all I did for a good 2 months, with the little odd jobs here and there, just to cover my basic expenses.
Mhm.
And the Facebook group was super helpful for that as well. I asked so many questions. And yeah, like I just started writing loads. I just started implementing the affiliate strategies a lot. I did everything in the course, but I didn't implement everything straight away because there's so much. um like the email marketing stuff, we were talking about this 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago as well. Like I'm kind of going back through that now, because the blog is to a point where it's making $2,000 to $3,000 a month now, just with affiliates and
That's
advertisements, which is
amazing.
like, I'm saying that now and that's crazy, like
That's amazing.
that's crazy. Like I'm so proud of myself for getting to this point.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful I got to do this. But now I've got like all this extra stuff that I can still implement with it, like the email marketing. We talked about doing some outsourcing. Uh, and it's all very scary, but it's kind of getting more exciting, because I feel like I can do it now because I've done everything up until this point. And I think this is also what we talked about 2 weeks ago. Like when I made that purchase, something, not overnight, but something kind of changed in my mind, as in how you look at money and the value of yourself. And now it doesn't seem that crazy anymore to think, oh, I can grow this into a six-figure business. Like I'm like, oh yeah, that, why not? And then I was crying about spending $700 on a course. So it's really exciting to see how the mindset has shifted from doing the course, and like kind of proving to myself that you can do it. It was worth doing that, and you can just keep growing this. So it's very exciting.
That's amazing. No, well, you said it, you're like a different person, right? Like a different person to where you were then and where you are now. It's amazing what you've done. Like we were having a conversation and now we're talking about how you can outsource, how you can grow a team, how you can get to six figures. And like you said,
It's so
two
crazy.
and a half years ago, 2.5 years ago, you were sat on the floor. It's
The glow up,
inspiring.
right?
Yeah. It's super inspiring to hear. Like actually, I think the last time we talked, I didn't realize that, you know, when you made the investment, it was as tight as it was for you. Like I know you said how hard
Yeah.
it was, but I didn't realize just how hard it was. I didn't realize you were flipping stuff on eBay or like at
Yeah, that
that
was
point.
literally where I was at. Like it wasn't good. Like I was crying to my dad on the phone asking if he could send me £100 because I couldn't pay rent, kind of thing.
Wow.
I was living on my savings because I'd quit my job,
Mm.
and thinking that'll just tie me over for like 6 months until I kind of found my ground freelancing, and maybe hopefully I'll get a few more affiliate sales, because that was the one thing that I was kind of getting at the point where I quit my job. But yeah, like we were very lucky because we got a really cheap rental apartment in Manchester at the time. Well, it's still the same apartment, but we ended up buying it last year because that is suddenly possible. So that's crazy. But yeah, it wasn't good. Like I don't even kind of know how I even managed to make enough money to pay for rent. And that was it. I just had to pay for rent and gas, water, light, electricity, like literally the minimum stuff, because nobody was going out because of COVID anyway. But yeah, it was very tight. Like I don't think I've ever struggled that much with finances until that point. And then yeah, like I said, the course right now, that doesn't seem like a crazy amount of money. Like it's expensive, but it's super worth it in my opinion. But at that time, if you would have said it's $1 million, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds about right. That's kind of that felt the same amount of impossible for me to buy at the time. So
No,
yeah.
absolutely. That's crazy. I know you're way past full-time income and thinking about six figures. That's awesome.
Yeah. In just
That's
3 years,
nuts.
like
Yeah.
sometimes, like my fiance says the same thing. He's like, you need to stop sometimes and celebrate like how far you've come, because I'm always thinking about like, oh, what should I do next? And because I still do some freelance work on the side as well, just because it's kind of nice to diversify.
Mhm.
But it's crazy to think about where I was 3 years ago and where I'm at now. I don't think I would have believed it if you would have told me that 3 years ago, because I just wanted to like be able to afford a few trips and maybe pay rent with the blog. That was it. That's I would have been happy with that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's exciting. So let's talk about the actual blog and Fastlane area itself. There's lots in it, as you know, because you've gone through the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's stuff on mindset, there's affiliates, there's SEO, there's emails, which we discussed. But for you and where you were in your journey, what do you think was the main thing that helped you the most?
Surprisingly, the SEO stuff, because again, like I kind of went into this thinking I have an SEO background. That's kind of why I felt confident enough to quit my job, thinking I've grown this website to this many visitors a month. I can do it with my own website. Not thinking that it was a completely different strategy and stuff like that. But the SEO stuff and learning about how to properly structure a website like this, and especially because you guys were also in the travel niche, so it kind of made more sense for me to kind of follow what you guys were doing. And just growing the traffic, I think that's where the big first step was, because I didn't even have that many people visiting the website until I started growing it properly with like a good SEO strategy. And then the affiliate stuff is kind of starting to kick in now, because I tried to implement it straight away because I was learning about it and I found it very interesting. But you need enough traffic for that before you can actually see the results for that. Like I always thought that I wasn't doing it right until I got to like 50, 60,000 page views a month, and then suddenly the affiliate started to kick in. I was like, oh, see, like it is working. I'm not doing it wrong. This is great.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, like I talk about it in, we have like these little motivation bumps, don't we, in the fast lane, where I sort of talk
Yeah.
about, we kind of put them there on purpose because we know, oh, at this stage of someone's journey, they're going to be thinking this, or like they're going to be concerned about this or whatever. So I think around that point, I sort of talk about like, we call them, I think we call them road bumps. I sort of talk about compounding and how I'm like, you're not going to see it. Like, you're not going to see it because, like you said, you don't have the traffic numbers right now. If you're only converting 1 or 2% of them, you do need a couple of thousand views to get that first check. But every time you're layering on to your authority fortress and you're building more posts and you're building your blog up, it then starts to really compound. And that's why we like genuinely believe it's one of the best businesses for like time freedom, because like I talk to my friends and they're still like blown away. Like we just got back from, we've been traveling for like 7 months or 7 or 8 months,
Wow.
and adventuring you still going. Like, and it's still going, it's still rocking it. And we do like a couple hours a week, maybe But we have this solid foundation that's we built and we kept layering on. And now with your blog, that's what you're doing. Like you've got
Mm.
this huge foundation now for Japan. So yes, there's other blogs and stuff like that, but you've got such a strong foundation. So if you decide to expand that in Japan or start to take it to another country, you've already got all this foundation in place. So you just layer it and you keep layering it on top. So suddenly that $10 in affiliate commission becomes 50, becomes 200, becomes 1,000, and will become six figures. So you just kind of keep layering them on. So yeah, I'm excited you like persisted and kept going with it.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I did, because this is like one of the few things that I didn't give up on. Like, and it's one, like it's very easy to start things and you have the motivation to start stuff and you need to kind of see through it. Because I remember starting the fast lane, and I remember the video you guys talked about compounding effect, and like I bought the book and I read the book. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going all in. I'm going to read every single thing that these guys are recommending because they know what they're doing. And it's easy to kind of forget that that's real, I think. Like you hear a lot of people talk about it, but unless you have concrete evidence for yourself that it's working, I don't think you believe it. And up until like last year, I was still a little bit like, is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? I've been doing this strategy for like 2 years now. Like I'm still not at Mediavine numbers at the time. Like I'm still not really, making an income. Like I'm still like heavily freelancing. And then suddenly it just kind of clicked and it started to kind of snowball. And like you're saying, it started to ramp up and it kind of made all the work worth it, because I always try to do it for future me. Like I'm writing an article I don't want to write. I'm like, oh, do it for future Nele. She'll be thanking you. And yeah, she's thinking past me now, because all the work definitely felt worth it. And I can see the compounding effect now in real life. And I think I'm going to be able to apply that to different areas of my life as well, like not just with business or with money, but also with, working out and eating healthy and relationships and stuff. But it is up until the point where I got the concrete evidence myself that it was working, I was still a bit like, oh, I don't know if this is like a real thing. Maybe it's just for people who are already successful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can totally relate. Like I'm not sure if I've said this in a couple of trainings. Like I remember we were in the Philippines and we were sat in this restaurant and like we were, still broke and eventually similar to you, we'd been going out there for like 18 months and just nothing. And I remember saying to Anna, I was like, I remember saying like I have a degree, like unless this starts working soon, like I need to go and get a job with this degree because like this needs to do something because it's just not working. And she said to me something like, we just need to keep going a little bit longer. Like it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Like we're laying the groundwork. And yeah, I always talk about that because very shortly after we started seeing the first checks, and similar to you, saw that kind of hockey stick growth. And yeah, I kind of I shiver when I think about if I had stopped and if I had gone back to work. Like,
Right?
and like you said, it wouldn't have just been about the blog. It would have then you've learned this lesson now with everything, with health, with fitness, with like whatever it is. If you expand into other businesses, you'll know that like, oh yeah, I'm just working on this. It's compounding, and because you've solidified that belief within you. So that's awesome. That's great. So
Yeah,
what's
it's
next?
crazy that. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go on. Go on, you
Oh,
can.
I was just gonna say, like, it's crazy that like a blogging course has done that, because a lot of people don't still. Obviously, there's more things. I've done a lot of like self-improvement over the last few years and stuff, but I feel like buying the course was kind of, looking back at it now, that was kind of the starting point of all of that, because I invested it in myself, and I don't think I've ever invested that much money and time into something that I wanted when people weren't quite sure about it. Like my parents are super on board with it now, but at the start they were like, you quit your job to write about Japan? That's as in like, oh God, what is she doing? And you're saying, Anna was like, oh, we just need to keep at it. Like my partner has been so supportive about it. And I'm doing this by myself. He has his own business, his own thing. But he's always just been so supportive about it. And I don't think I would have been able to have done it if he wasn't like such a cheerleader, because I needed that a lot of the times when I thought this is not working. you know, like I spend so many hours on this. I could be freelancing. I could be getting another 9 to 5, you know, like I don't want to, but you know, I'm getting to the point now where I should probably start thinking about like making some money. I can't keep calling my dad for another 100 quid here and there every now and then.
Yeah, no, and this is something else we talk about as well. Like it is a long journey, and that's why you need to surround yourself with people who are going to support that journey, who are going to be your cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Because if you're on your own doing it, like you're going to talk yourself out of it, or you most likely will, and you won't get past that sort of inflection point. And you said something to me last time, which I remember I highlighted. You said it's crazy. I've never made as much money in my life than I make it now, and you've kind of reached that inflection point where you're not trading time for money anymore, or at least you're getting to the point where it's gonna, really pass that.
Yeah.
And you're not really you're not doing an hourly 9 to 5 anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if one week now, if you work 2 hours on your blog, or 8 hours on your blog, or 20 hours on your blog, you're gonna make the same, or if not more. So it's gonna become
Yeah.
very different in the next year for 2 years for you. I'm really excited because I
I'm very
remember
excited
sort of
too.
that growth.
I think as well, like it's for me, it was never just about the money, of course. It was all about, you know, doing something that I wanted to do. And, you know, I'm an immigrant. Like I moved to the UK when I was 18. My family still lives in the Netherlands. And having the 9 to 5, it felt so, I don't know, it felt like a trap because I couldn't just go and fly over to see my mom and dad if I wanted to. I had to take time off. And that would eat into my holiday days. And then I couldn't go traveling anymore. Or you know, I am very much aware of which hours of the day that I work well and when I can get stuff done. That just didn't work when I had to be at an office, you know, like
Yeah.
at a certain time until a certain time. And I think those were like the big motivators for me thinking I want to fill in like my life the way that I want to fill it in. And if that's with a blog or with a different business, I'm like, I know I'm going to have to just do something for myself because this is not working. And now, like you're saying, I'm getting to the point like last December, I was so busy because we were going to the Netherlands to see my family. We just came back from Japan. We had friends over as well. I don't think I touched a blog. I don't think I worked on it for a second because I also had like freelancing work to do. But, you know, I made double as much money on the blog than I made with my freelancing work. And I'm just like, what am I still doing with all this, you know? Um, Obviously you got to go back at it and you got to keep it up, and you know you can't just not work on it anymore. But that was again like one of those little moments where I was like, wow, it's working. This is what I wanted, and it's working, and it's actually like all coming true. This is so exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think there's no better way really to finish on that. I guess I did want to ask, like, what's next for your blog? What are you planning to do next to it?
So yeah, very exciting stuff. Like I'm actually starting to outsource some stuff, which as somebody that's a bit of a control freak about my baby, it's very scary, but it really feels like the right next step, and I'm feeling very confident that I'm excited to learn about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm excited to learn about how to hire the right people and how to help them make better content for the website. Um, Also, I want to get back into the email marketing stuff. I'm thinking about creating like a product as well for traveling to Japan. So there's so many ideas, not enough time, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, we already talked about compounding effects. So launch the product and then hire your first person, and you just keep layering those bricks. So keep going with it. I'm excited to see where you go
100%.
this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like I have not been this excited about a lot of stuff for a long time. Like it feels like things are finally falling into place.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again for doing this. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for for chatting about it, because it's literally been a life-changing course, and I don't want it to sound like crazy, but it really has been.
No, thanks.